earth, Lord Ramchandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yajna for 13,000 years. Text 19. Smaratam Ridivinyasya Viddham Dandakakantakai Swapada Ramo Atmajoti Ragatataha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Ramchandra, whose lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns when he lived in Dandakaranya, placed those lotus feet in the hearts of those who always think of him. Then he entered his own abode, the Vaikuntha planet beyond the Brahma Jyoti. Purport. The lotus feet of the Lord are always a subject matter for meditation for devotees. Sometimes when Lord Ramchandra wandered in the forest of Dandakaranya, thorns pricked his lotus feet. The devotees, upon thinking of this, would faint. The Lord does not feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world. But the devotees cannot tolerate even the pricking of the Lord's lotus feet by a thorn. This was the attitude of the gopis when they thought of Krishna wandering in the forest with pebbles and grains of sand pricking his lotus feet. This tribulation in the heart of a devotee cannot be understood by karmis, jnanis, or yogis. The devotees, who could not tolerate even thinking of the Lord's lotus feet being pricked by a thorn, were again put into tribulation by thinking of the Lord's disappearance, for the Lord had to return to his abode after finishing his pastimes in this material world. The word Atmajyoti is significant. The Brahmajyoti, which is greatly appreciated by jnanis or monastic philosophers who desire to enter it for liberation, is nothing but the rays of the Lord's body. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti kotishva sheshava sudhadi vibhuti vinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam ashesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Brahma Samhita 5.40. The Brahmajyoti is the beginning of the spiritual world, and beyond the Brahmajyoti are the Vaikuntha planets. In other words, the Brahmajyoti stays outside the Vaikuntha planets, just as the sunshine stays outside the sun. To enter the sun planet, one must go through the sunshine. Similarly, when the Lord or his devotees enter the Vaikuntha planets, they go through the Brahmajyoti. The Jnanis or monastic philosophers, because of their impersonal conception of the Lord, cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets, but they also cannot stay eternally in the Brahmajyoti. Thus, after some time, they fall again to this material world. Aruyya krishrena param padam tata patanti yado anatrata yushmadangrayaha. Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 32. The Vaikuntha planets are covered by the Brahmajyoti, and therefore one cannot properly understand what those Vaikuntha planets are unless one is a pure devotee. Smaratam Ridivinyasya Viddham Dandaka Kantakai Swapada Pallavam Rama Atma Jyotir Agatataha. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Ramchandra, whose lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns when he lived in Dandakaranya, placed those lotus feet in the hearts of those who always think of him. Then he entered his own abode, the Vaikuntha planet beyond the Brahmajyoti. Hare Krishna. So, this is the part of Ramayana Leela, Lord Ram's pastimes, where Mother Sita leaves the association of the Lord in a external kind of way, superficially. And after her disappearance, Srimad Bhagavatam describes how Lord Ramchandra observed complete celibacy. That means he did not marry again, he didn't have a consort, and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yagya, a fire sacrifice, for 13,000 years. And at the completion of the sacrifice, the Lord also left and entered his own abode. The Lord's abode is always called as a Vaikuntha. Kuntha is worry, Kuntha is misery. And the place from which the Lord comes, or the region from which he descends, is always called Vaikuntha. We are conversant with the word avatar. Avatar means one who descends. In this world, we have people who, like the usual success story, America is very fond of saying there is a American dream. And what does an American dream mean? That someone comes from a place of religious persecution, poverty, struggle, mm, inequality of wealth, no scope for knowledge. But when you come to America, you have the land of opportunity. You can become whatever you can, whatever you want to be. Does something like that happen with God? That he comes here and then he gets a group of devotees who chant his name or who worship him? No, it is exactly the opposite. Krishna or Rama, they come from a place of pure devotees where everything is eternal, blissful, full of knowledge. And in fact, it should be considered as a case of mercy. The Lord doesn't have to come. Nobody invites him unless it is his pure devotees who invite him. Interestingly, one day Prabhupada told his followers, none of you invited me to America. I came on my own. And why did I come? Because it was the wish of my spiritual master that I should share this knowledge. So in the Bhagavatam, we have Sripad Narada Muni, who wanders all over the 14 worlds, not just our own planet, but everywhere. Why does he go? Because his very name is Narada, one who bestows the mercy of Narayan, one who can give you Narayan. That's Narada Muni. Ramayana, as some of you must be knowing, is one of the most popular of epics. Unfortunately, India, Indian scholars, sometimes even the Indian government calls it mythology. Oh, it's a very good story, but of course it's mythology, isn't it? Because there is not much of archaeological evidence. You don't have the palaces, the stones, the books, the ornaments or objects. So over the past few years, maybe a few centuries, Indian thought and Indian wisdom, Vedic wisdom, was slowly pushed into a corner of just some kind of tales for entertainment. Oh, this is a good, absorbing story. And that's all. Well, it also has some moral lessons. Well, it has absorbing emotions. When I was in my school, well, I was out of high school, and the Mahabharat was aired on All India Television, the national network, and India came to a standstill. It would not be unusual for all the transport trucks. Like anytime you come out of an American city on the highway, you just have these huge trucks just transporting goods and fresh produce, vegetables, whatever, groceries. So India may not have that kind of huge trucks, but it was not unusual for five, six of these trucks to be just parked on the side of the highway, and all the drivers and their crew glued to a local uh, small shack of a hotel or a, they call it dhaba, and there's a television set on and everybody's watching the Mahabharata. Same thing happened with the Ramayana. In fact, last March 2020, when India went into a national lockdown, the first thing they did was they aired the Ramayana and Mahabharata again on national TV. Guess what was the number of people watching every episode? More than 50 million. So, whatever might be the current scholarship, their their statements on the Mahabharata or Ramayana, it is somewhere there deep inside the minds of the people of Bharatvarsha that it is not just mythology. It is something else also. Now, unfortunately, there are also people who would like to downgrade it, and Prabhupada talks about them, which we shall come to that point later. So Lord Ramchandra is Krishna himself, playing the part of a prince, a warrior, and his eternal consort is Mother Sita. So Shukdev Goswami is describing here that Smaratam Hridi Vinyasya Viddham Dandaka Kantakai. Lord Ramchandra's lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns when he lived in Dandakaranya. Dandakaranya is a place which is still existing, the same name. And while he would be walking there barefoot, Lord Ramchandra's lotus feet would be pierced by thorns. And that would pierce the heart of his devotees. The Prabhupada says that actually the devotees, upon thinking of this, would faint. And immediately Prabhupada offers a counterpoint that the Lord does not feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world. Is that so? So when we all do something for Radha Mullidhar, we chant, we dance, even in the bitter cold or heat, we continue with our services. It's a struggle to remain Krishna conscious in New York or London, Rome, Paris, Tokyo, Mumbai, anywhere. And many times a devotee might feel that, does Krishna know what's happening? Here the statement is that he does not uh, feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world. Then how do I know that my chanting is being accepted or my chanting is being rejected, or how do I improve? So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. Arjun, please try to understand. I am equal to all living entities, not just Indians, not just high class priests or administrators or businessmen or labor class, whatever. I'm equal to all. Sarva Bhuteshu, all living beings, in fact. What about if they are Krishna conscious, or they are chanters or non chanters, or whatever? No, I am equal to all of them. Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. And then he adds, Name Dveshya Asti. I do not have anyone who is a subject matter of my hate. Like we always say that, oh, I hate this guy, or I hate her, or I hate this food, or whatever. Obviously, we live in a place of duality. So there will always be, for everything you hate, there could be something you love. For everything you love, there could be something you hate. Cannot escape that. And trying to maintain equanimity is one of the goals of our chanting Hare Krishna, because Krishna maintains that equanimity. Name dveshya asti na priya. I don't particularly love anyone. Ye bhajanti tu. Now Krishna adds a very interesting Sanskrit word here. Tu means but. And this but kind of is like a pivot on which the whole scene practically changes. I'm equal to all. I don't hate anyone. I don't love anyone. But hey, one who is a devotee unto me, one who devotes his attention, one who performs bhakti yoga unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. So it is said that when a devotee has hardships, Krishna also cries. When a devotee is joyful, Krishna also is happy. But Krishna, as we learn from Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth, has Brahman, this effulgence which is spread everywhere. That also is one of the points for discussion today. Then the super soul, the Paramatma, who is in the heart of every living being. And finally, Bhagavan, Satchidananda Vigraha, the personality of Godhead. So Brahman is equal, Paramatma equal, whether you are the president of the United States, you're the boss of a million, multi-million, multi-billion dollar corporation, or you are a beggar on the streets, or you are a bum, or you are a aborigine in the forest, whoever you are, the super soul never leaves the company of the soul. But the personality of Godhead, that aspect of Krishna's personality, he feels the pangs, he rejoices in the pleasure, he sheds tears when a devotee faces hardships. Why is that? The point is of reciprocation. Prabhupada mentions here the gopis. This was the attitude of the gopis when they thought of Krishna wandering in the forest with pebbles and grains of sand pricking his lotus feet. Interestingly, Prabhupada's Krishna Balram temple is situated in Ramana Reti. Ramana means pleasurable. Reti means sands. So this was a place where the sand was so soft. Our Dinabandhu Prabhu explains how There are many places which are called Ramanriti, where Krishna and Balaram and their cowherd friends would go and have so many pleasure pastimes. How did this area became so pleasurable? Because when Krishna decided to go, Krishna once told Nanda Baba, his father, that I am grown up. Do you know that? And his father said, oh, really? So I should be allowed to take care of the calves. So Krishna was given the charge of the calves. And that was not very far away from their home. And after a few years, Krishna said, now I should take charge of the cows. Now that means going farther away in the deep Vrindavan forest. And naturally, his mother, Mother Yashoda, said, no way, I won't allow you that. So after a lot of haggling and bargaining and persuasion, finally the day when Krishna was allowed to take charge is being celebrated as Gopashtami. Krishna becomes a cowherd boy. Just a few days before that, Mother Yashoda, ever so careful in uh, trying to understand her son, trying to protect him, she said that you have to wear shoes. I'll give you an blanket. Blanket would be used to cover yourself from sun, rain, or whatever. So Krishna said, okay, will you give a blanket for all the cows? Krishna's father had 900,000 cows, and each cow has 4 feet. So that means 900,000 into 4, those many shoes needed. And she said, no way, we can't manage that many shoes. So Krishna said, so if my cows don't have the facility of shoes, I also won't wear them. So the cows heard that their beloved Sham Sundar Gopal is insisting that they should be given shoes for their feet. So overnight, it is described that the cows went and they pounded each and every pebble and stone, especially on the pathway which Krishna would walk every day to and fro. And they made it soft like Johnson and Johnson baby powder. So this is the love of the cows. Next point, Prabhupada says that this tribulation in the heart of a devotee cannot be understood by karmis, jnanis, or yogis. Why is that? Are they any less intelligent? Are they uh, not like not very erudite, not very scholarly? What exactly is the problem with them? Karmis spend so much of time doing things in a proper, auspicious way. Jnanis spend so much time learning scriptures. And Hatha yogis, oh, they spend a lifetime contorting their bodies and trying to gain yogic mystic powers. But they don't have one thing. Their heart is not in sync with Krishna. I mean, why is that? There are so many other evidences where Krishna says, Sadhavo hridayo mayyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, madanyatena janati, naham tebhyo managati. I stay in the heart of my devotee. Mind you, all these things have one pivot, one big important point, and that is reciprocation. Why Krishna agrees to stay in the heart of a devotee? Because he says the devotee stays, uh, the devotee has nothing but me in his heart. Of course, we are sadhan bhaktas, we need to practice that, but that's the ultimate goal. My devotee does not know anything but me. Again, the law of reciprocation. Therefore, I don't know anyone but my devotee. This is, of course, from the same ninth canto when Durvasa Muni was involved in unnecessarily giving trouble to Ambarish Maharaj. And Lord Narayan told him this. The final point for discussion is the word Atma Jyoti. Jyoti means something very brilliant, very illuminating. Prabhupada quotes the famous Brahma Samhita verse that the glowing effulgence of Krishna's form is the impersonal Brahman. And that's like the goal of the Gyanis and the Yogis. One very beautiful aspect of Vaishnava philosophical understanding is that there's a daily life example. Like how do we understand Krishna's planets and the glow surrounding those planets? Prabhupada says, just as sunshine stays outside the sun, the Brahma Jyoti stays outside the Vaikuntha planets. To enter the sun, we should become fiery or one must go through the sunshine. Similarly, when the Lord or his devotees enter the Vaikuntha planets, they go through the Brahma Jyoti. Well, if all you need is to become spiritually enlivened, self-realized, then all self-realized individuals must be allowed to go to Vaikuntha. No, there is something which prevents those who are not bhakti yogis, their their vehicle stops millions of miles before Vaikuntha. Prabhupada says here, the Gyanis or monastic philosophers, because of the impersonal conception of the Lord, cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets. Now Krishna will say, that's not my fault, or I'm not responsible for their mental understanding. It is their choice. Even in the material world, there is a choice. So bhakti yoga means the yoga of the heart, and there has to be choice. And Krishna doesn't decide who will become my devotee and who won't. It is the living being who decides whether I should be giving importance to Krishna in my life or not. So Srimad Bhagavatam also says that, all right, if somebody says, some go to this place, some go to that place, ultimately they are all happy. Not exactly. Those who are self-realized, but cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets, they also cannot stay eternally in the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti is eternal, but residence there is not. Prabhupada says here. Thus, after some time, they fall again to this material world. Our last point for today's discussion. Why would somebody not be happy in Brahma Jyoti? Anything wrong with the Brahma Jyoti per se? Nothing wrong. But we are living beings. We need connectivity. We need some discussion. We need relationships. So from material relationships, these people, they graduate kind of. They are through with the temporary material relationships. Because ultimately a body cannot have an eternal relationship with another body. Right? So after a lot of sacrifice, lot of charity, lot of knowledge, hardships, austerities, penances for lifetimes, no attachment to anything in this material world, and a living entity could be qualified to enter the Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti, the refulgent place. And in that environment, they are happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. But if once you get a thought that I need someone, I need someone to talk to, I need someone to love, to hold, to cuddle, to relate to, that particular thought, I'm giving it a material kind of a treatment. It may not be exactly like that. But there is no relationship, that's a fact. You're just a tiny speck of brilliance. And the moment you need connectivity, the moment you need relationships, you are shown the way back to this material world. And that's what this statement means, that after undergoing so much of hardship, Aruya Krichrena, because they cannot stay eternally, they after some time fall again to this material world. So Prabhupada's last line is, the Vaikuntha planets are covered by the Brahma Jyoti, and therefore one cannot properly understand what those Vaikuntha planets are unless one is a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada talked about his Guru Maharaj as, what can I say, he was a Vaikuntha man. That means somebody come from that planet, from that environment, just out of compassion. And someone coming from that planet directly, their life is special. You can see how they walk, talk, how they are situated. Same is the thing we can say with Prabhupada. I was reading just a small snippet from Tamal Krishna Maharaj's diary, and he said that in New York, I feel like home. I don't know why, but I feel like home in New York. I got so much of support here. Now you may say, well, if somebody's from Vaikuntha, how can he love New York? Does he mean he hates other places? No. Srila Prabhupada brings that personal angle of Bhakti Yoga, that whoever, whichever place, whichever person happens to be the object of the mercy, that place or that person becomes special. And we can't deny that. So although Prabhupada loved everyone, his mission was to bring Krishna consciousness to everyone. In a very sweet kind of way, this pastime has been enacted by Krishna, that he sent Prabhupada to New York. And Prabhupada is on record saying so many good things about, of course, those of us who stay there permanently or temporarily, we may not have so many good things to say. But Prabhupada loved the opportunity to preaching there. So sometimes he would say, I'm not staying in New York, I'm in Vrindavan. That also is true. But there are many occasions where he expressed his appreciation for all the support which he got here. Hare Krishna, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to all the servants of Shri Radha Mulindar Gaurchandra. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments, please?
Hey, Gol. This is Indira. I
Hare
just wanted to
Krishna.
thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm actually doing a little jog. I just wanted to thank you for this class. It was really nice to hear about the difference between getting to the Brahma Jyoti and getting to Vaikuntha, just to kind of have that reiterated over and over in my head. I really appreciate it. and also how Prabhupada really loved New York, and because of what he was able to do here, not necessarily the niceties that go along or the hellish things that go along with living here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your jog.
Thanks.
All right, so we shall stop here. Nayan Manjari, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm here. Thank you so much for the
Okay,
wonderful
you
class.
have to leave in 5 minutes, right? So,
Yeah, if there are no questions.
no, that's all right. So we shall stop here.
Okay, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class.
Thank you all. See you next month. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.